Did you know that for over 2 decades, while the public was looking up at the sky and wondering, the U.S. Air Force was right there with them, secretly doing the same thing? Yeah, they were officially investigating thousands and thousands of reports of strange objects in the sky.
That's right. For 22 years, from 1947 all the way to 1969. And look, this wasn't some fringe backroom operation. It was a formal, long-running military program. Its whole purpose was to try and figure out one of the biggest mysteries of our time. What in the world are these things people are seeing?
Now, to really get why this all started, you got to transport yourself back to the beginning of the Cold War. I mean, this was a time of just incredible tension. The world was literally split in two, and the fear, the paranoia of a surprise attack from an enemy with some kind of crazy advanced technology, that was very, very real.
And it's really important to know that this wasn't just one single project. It actually evolved over time. It kicked off in '47 with something called Project Sign. The rumor is they concluded some of these things might actually be extraterrestrial. Well, that got shut down pretty quick and replaced by Project Grudge, which basically had a reputation for debunking everything it touched. People got so fed up with that approach that by 1952 they rebooted the whole thing, gave it a new name and promised a more scientific method. And that's how we got Project Blue Book.
So, okay, that brings us to the main event, Project Blue Book itself. It was headquartered at the famous Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, and for almost 20 years, it was the official public face of the Air Force's UFO investigations.
And their mission? It was actually crystal clear, laid out right there in the regulations. It really all boiled down to two simple but huge questions. First, and this was the big one, are these things a threat to our national security? And second, do they have any kind of advanced technology that we could maybe learn from?
You know, we hear the term UFO, and our minds immediately jump to alien spaceships. But the Air Force had a really simple, no-nonsense definition. A UFO was just any object in the sky that the person who saw it couldn't identify. That's it. It could be a balloon, a meteor, a secret spy plane. If you didn't know what it was, congrats, you saw a UFO.
The first guy in charge was a man named Captain Edward J. Rubeltz, and he was known for taking this stuff seriously, for his methodical, open-minded approach. In fact, he's the one who officially coined the term unidentified flying object because he felt flying saucer just sounded too silly. His time at the helm is often seen as the golden age of the project, a time when they were genuinely trying to get to the bottom of things.
And let me tell you, they had a mountain of evidence to sift through. Reports were just flooding in from everybody. We're talking military pilots, air traffic controllers, cops on the beat, and just regular folks from every corner of the country.
By the time they finally shut the project down, this is how many cases they had collected and filed. 12,618. Just let that number sink in for a second. This wasn't a few strange lights in the sky. It was an absolute deluge of reports.
Now, one of the most scientific things Blue Book ever did was commission a huge study called Special Report Number 14. They brought in outside experts to do a massive statistical breakdown of thousands of cases. And this is where it gets really interesting. Sure, they could explain away about 69% of them, but a staggering 22%, nearly 1 out of every 4 cases, remained completely, totally unidentified.
So what about all those identified cases? Well, they were mostly what you'd expect. People mistaking bright stars or planets, seeing normal planes at weird angles, weather balloons, cloud formations, and yeah, of course, a few outright hoaxes. That took care of the majority. But it's that other 22% that's the real mystery. That's the part that kept everyone guessing.
And you know, getting a case into that unidentified pile wasn't easy. The standards were incredibly strict. It wasn't enough for just one analyst to be stumped. To officially label a case unidentified, all 4 of the project's scientific analysts had to look at it independently, and all of them had to agree that it couldn't be explained by any known object or phenomenon. So these weren't just the weird cases. These were the best of the best.
But here's the twist. Despite this stubborn, persistent chunk of truly baffling cases, the Air Force decided to shut it all down, to just close the book on the whole thing. And the big question is, why?
The official end came on December 17, 1969. Just like that. After 22 years of continuous investigation, the largest, most well-known official government UFO study in history was suddenly over.
The Air Force gave 3 official reasons for pulling the plug. Number 1, no UFO had ever been a threat. Number 2, there was no evidence that these unidentifieds represented any technology beyond our own. And number 3, there was no proof they were alien spaceships. Case closed.
Or was it?
Well, this is where the official story really starts to fall apart. This quote, it's from Dr. J. Allen Hynek. He was Blue Book's chief scientific consultant for almost its entire existence. The very expert they hired to give the project's scientific credibility eventually turned on them, calling it a travesty and accusing them of being more interested in PR and debunking than in actual science.
So all of this, it leads us to one final, really unsettling question. When the Air Force publicly closed Project Blue Book, did the investigation really stop? Or did it just go dark, go deeper into the shadows, far away from public scrutiny?
And if you're looking for a smoking gun, well, here it is. This is from a memo written by a brigadier general named C.H. Bolender right as Blue Book was being terminated. And listen to this carefully. He wrote that reports of UFOs that could affect national security are not part of the Blue Book system. Let that sink in. This suggests that the most important cases, the really sensitive ones, were never even going to Blue Book in the first place. They were being funneled somewhere else entirely.
Which leaves us here. Maybe Project Blue Book was just the public-facing part of the operation, the one designed to handle the thousands of civilian reports. But that Bolender memo implies a whole other, more secret system was running in parallel for the truly serious stuff. So the question isn't just what happened to Project Blue Book. The real question is, what was that other project?